It's a Tuesday morning here on Breakfast Central. The past 24 hours have been quite chaotic here in Lagos with different parts of people protesting against the Cybercrime Act. And, you know, generally, majority of them protesting against bad governance. But we're getting into the nitty-gritty of that much later. You're welcome to the show. I am Olive MOD.
Most definitely. Benga is in the building.
And I'm Gyang Bere. We have, if you're new to Breakfast Central, you just stumbled on something really special. The best breakfast show in Nigeria. I mean, I might not be stretching it if I say Africa or indeed the world.
Come on.
And our planet sister, our Milky Way. Welcome to Breakfast Central. I am Gyang Bere.
In fact, the presenters in Mars and Venus, they are jealous of us.
Yeah.
Because nobody does it better.
Ouch. That's so hot.
Wow.
Anyway, I came with so much anointing this morning. I was, motivated when I saw a picture and image of someone we know so well who is a very, hard talker, a former minister who has decided to, lay his hands, on
It's
people.
been cold.
Yes, it's a cold Palmer situation.
Very cold.
Yeah, very cold. So on that note, I want to say welcome to Breakfast Central. That's the picture there.
I will never speak against him.
We saw a news item saying his name was part of ambassadorial nominees.
Yes.
Is it a diplomatic ambassador or an ambassador for Christ?
Wisdom will not finish in Benga. He's in the Lord's army. He is chosen for this work that he's doing. I will not speak against the Lord's anointed because Scripture says, touch not my anointed and do my prophet no harm. And I really don't know what's happening behind the scenes between him and God. So maybe God has called him and he has finally picked up the call. I don't know what's going on there, but it's very interesting to see.
We wish him well.
Yes, certainly.
But that's a wake-up conversation, by the way. Thank you so much for joining us on Breakfast Central. We started off on that note to let you know that a former minister, just as you saw in that image, was seen, blessing the congregants and passing the spirit on to them. I don't know if it's the spirit of healing or the spirit of, removing any form of demonic,
But the funny thing, you don't know the behind the scenes of a lot of these politicians.
Yes.
A number of them are deeply spiritual. They are on the surface showing you what they want to see, fighting with government and doing all that. But behind the scenes, a number of them realize that they either hold God or they hold devil. There are no in-betweens for them. I really don't understand.
Why is it not reflecting in the governance of the country?
And the quality of their character.
Exactly.
Yes, that's another thing.
So I see a contradiction there.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
So it's much more like, you are closer to God, you pray to God, you do all of that, but at the end of the day, Nigerians are asking, what's going on?
Is he now a pastor?
Yes. But like you said, his name was part of the ambassadorial nominee alongside some other names that have come up. Have you noticed that it's taken so long since President Bola Ahmed Tinubu's administration? Now, the ambassadors have not been named, have not been...
There's a reason behind that. I saw an interview with the Minister of Foreign Affairs, Yusuf Tuga, and he mentioned there's a whole cash sponge when it comes to diplomatic missions. A lot of their buildings are derelict, they're in need of renovation. So many of them aren't making money. They're cash strapped, they've not been able to pay salaries in months. So they thought, what's the point of sending ambassadors here where we've not cleared the financial backlog? So even these ambassadors, it's not the whole gamut of ambassadors, it's just a few, and maybe later in the future.
Like first trench, and then later on another one.
Exactly, they would increase it.
Okay.
So
very interesting.
We wish them all the best. Whilst, imputations are being made and people are questioning whether he's a pastor, I wish him all the best.
Pastor, ambassador, if he skills the clearance.
Yes.
If he later becomes an ambassador, do you think they should send him, he should be ambassador of Nigeria to perhaps a holy land, maybe Rome or Jerusalem?
Benga.
Or Egypt. In Egypt, there used to be a pharaoh. Yoruba people call it Pharaoh. So maybe perhaps one of those places.
Can come back with that energy and tell our Nigerian politicians, lose my people and let them go. Anyway.
It also is clear that you have politicians who will always rush to the pulpit whenever there's issue. Remember the rivers.
It's a Tuesday morning here on Breakfast Central. The past 24 hours have been quite chaotic here in Lagos with different parts of people protesting against the Cybercrime Act. And, you know, generally, majority of them protesting against bad governance. But we're getting into the nitty-gritty of that much later. You're welcome to the show. I am Olive MOD.
Most definitely. Benga is in the building.
And I'm Gyang Bere. We have, if you're new to Breakfast Central, you just stumbled on something really special. The best breakfast show in Nigeria. I mean, I might not be stretching it if I say Africa or indeed the world.
Come on.
And our planet sister, our Milky Way. Welcome to Breakfast Central. I am Gyang Bere.
In fact, the presenters in Mars and Venus, they are jealous of us.
Yeah.
Because nobody does it better.
Ouch. That's so hot.
Wow.
Anyway, I came with so much anointing this morning. I was, motivated when I saw a picture and image of someone we know so well who is a very, hard talker, a former minister who has decided to, lay his hands, on
It's been
people.
cold.
Yes, it's a cold Palmer situation.
Very cold.
Yeah, very cold. So on that note, I want to say welcome to Breakfast Central. That's the picture there.
I will never speak
But
against him.
We saw a news item saying his name was part of ambassadorial nominees.
Yes.
Is it a diplomatic ambassador or an ambassador for Christ?
Wisdom will not finish in Benga. You know, he's in the Lord's army. He is chosen for this work that he's doing. I will not speak against the Lord's anointed because Scripture says, touch not my anointed and do my prophet no harm. And I really don't know what's happening behind the scenes between him and God. So maybe God has called him and he has finally picked up the call. I don't know what's going on there, but it's very interesting to see.
We wish him well.
Yes, certainly.
But that's a wake-up conversation, by the way. Thank you so much for joining us on Breakfast Central. We started off on that note to let you know that a former minister, just as you saw in that image, was seen, blessing the congregants and passing the spirit on to them. I don't know if it's the spirit of healing or the spirit of, removing any form of demonic,
But you know the funny thing, you don't know the behind the scenes of a lot of these politicians.
Yes.
A number of them are deeply spiritual. They are on the surface showing you what they want to see, fighting with government and doing all that. But behind the scenes, a number of them realize that they either hold God or they hold devil. There are no in-betweens for them. I really don't understand.
Why is it not reflecting in the governance of the country?
And the quality of their character.
Exactly.
Yes, that's another thing.
So I see a contradiction there.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
So it's much more like, you are closer to God, you pray to God, you do all of that, but at the end of the day, Nigerians are asking, what's going on?
Is he now a pastor?
Yes. But like you said, his name was part of the ambassadorial nominee alongside some other names that have come up. Have you noticed that it's taken so long since President Bola Ahmed Tinubu's administration? Now, the ambassadors have not been named, have not been...
There's a reason behind that. I saw an interview with the Minister of Foreign Affairs, Yusuf Tuga, and he mentioned there's a whole cash sponge when it comes to diplomatic missions. A lot of their buildings are derelict, they're in need of renovation. So many of them aren't making money. They're cash strapped, they've not been able to pay salaries in months. So they thought, what's the point of sending ambassadors here where we've not cleared the financial backlog? So even these ambassadors, it's not the whole gamut of ambassadors, it's just a few, and maybe later in the future.
Like first trench, then later on another one.
Exactly, they would increase it.
Okay.
So
very interesting.
We wish them all the best. Whilst, imputations are being made and people are questioning whether he's a pastor, I wish him all the best.
Pastor, ambassador, if he skills the clearance.
Yes.
If he later becomes an ambassador, do you think they should send him, he should be ambassador of Nigeria to perhaps a holy land, maybe Rome or Jerusalem?
Benga.
Or Egypt. In Egypt, there used to be a pharaoh. Yoruba people call it Pharaoh. So maybe perhaps one of those places.
Can come back with that energy and tell our Nigerian politicians, lose my people and let them go. Anyway.
It also is clear that you have politicians who will always rush to the pulpit whenever there's issue. Remember the rivers crisis. I've never seen a governor visit you know, the church, like I've seen
I mean,
the rivers.
In terms of crisis, that's
like they're always there, you know.
Yeah.
And they take over the micro. I mean, remember that it was also in the pulpit that a now suspended governor said, "I have the red pen. You know, I have the, this is what they are coming for. I have it." It was actually on the pulpit, you know, after
Honestly,
talking about
we need
Christ.
to stop desecrating.
I mean, so you start to wonder what's really going on.
Yeah,
Is
we need
it
to stop desecrating religious institutions.
I think the Kenyans are having a conversation around that they should stop using the pulpit for political talk.
Absolutely. I mean, it's not just Kenya. Here in Nigeria, around the world,
it's very common here too.
We need to recognize and respect the institution of, you know, faith, religion. If you're a Christian, the pulpit is not where you go to declare your political ambitions. Yeah. Although I think why we're having that challenge, drawing the firm boundaries, because people are starting to say religious leaders need to speak more, that religious leaders need not to act aloof and say, we're not interested in this, we're not meant to talk about politics, that they need to be more involved. But that's an argument for another day. Whilst we're here arguing, a number of people are being tear gassed. There's a protest that occurred yesterday. We started the conversation whilst we were on the show. We did see the members of the Take It Back movement taking onto the streets of Lagos protesting against the Cybercrime Act. And you could see a number of people also venting their frustration for a number of the Nigerian masses who showed up for them. It was beyond Cybercrime Act. Some of them didn't even have an idea what it was about. They were just hungry, they were angry, they were cranky, they were tired, and in dire need of a change. But here we have the leader of the Take It Back movement expressing the reason why this protest is going on and you know what exactly it is that they're seeking to achieve. Nigeria's relationship with protests have become very sensitive, especially since first the EndSARS protest in 2020 and then the End Bad Governance protest in 2024, and how they turned out badly pretty much. But this was a protest held yesterday at Ikeja under bridge. We had our correspondent Ibalani Omoni, who was live to bring us feedback in that regard. But let's take a listen to some of the sound bites from the protest yesterday.
But if the police is trying to prevent peaceful dialogue between the people and their representatives, that's an imposition of anarchy. I know you personally, and I'm deliberate by mentioning your name. You understand? So, and the reason I mentioned your name here is so that you can take responsibility for whatever happens here. Because what we are doing here, we have not been here to fight. We have been conducting ourselves peacefully. And what we are saying here, in summary, is that we want to peacefully engage with our representatives at the State House Assembly. Right? But here you are here to, what I would describe as what you are here to do. You understand? It's to stop obstruction. It's an obstruction of democratic rights. Exactly. You understand? And that is tantamount to a position of anarchy. This guy now, always, we're talking about what to do. This kind of situation like the money we want to give you security coverage in many of the protests of my we've always given you security coverage like we did today. But for you, if you want to assemble...
That's it there. We are seeing sort of a maybe peaceful face-off in that particular clip between Nigerian police and the protesters, basically trying to see how they can find a middle ground. And this is not the first time. Part of the argument and the anger we've seen from Nigerian journalists, for example, will be that they accuse the current administration of stifling dissenting voices and not being open to criticism, restricting the rights of Nigerians to protest, because the Constitution does guarantee Nigerians a right to protest, you know, peaceful protest. So the question now is, what is the definition of peaceful? But these are some other Nigerians who I do not know if they were here for the Cybercrime Act. Let's take a listen to why they're here. So this one's not to concern them with Cybercrime Act.
Nah, this one's.
Like you said
reality
earlier, I mean, it's an opportunity for people to vent their frustration against the government. And, you know, from Cybercrime Act to hunger, it's all protest. And they have legitimate reasons to express themselves whichever way they deem fit. But let's hope those in Abuja are listening or elsewhere.
The upper echelons of society.
Yes, there's also the feedback that even in Lagos, the Lagos State governor did not come out to address the protesters. Also, the deputy governor didn't come out. They were expecting that at least they would come out to address them like they usually do in the usual fashion, and then they were about to tender what they feel the government should actually look into. Of course, they have a list of things that they feel the government should attend to, should pay attention to, but nobody came to them. Is it going to continue today? That's a question we want to find out. Are they going to come back again? And many have said that the protests is no longer impactful because it seems like it's just a small portion of society that are starting to talk. And there's also a case of repression where people feel if you talk, you'll be silenced. And that's exactly what we've seen so far, so good. Exactly. Yeah. So what we're looking at here, many have said this is just the beginning. Some have said that, no, it doesn't have any weight. And surprisingly, I think the most surprising one is the fact that if you go on socials, people are saying that, oh, so the police could actually come out in this format with guns, weapons, you know, armory and so on. However, this is Abuja that you can see right here on the screen. This is what Abuja looked like. But while many are also saying that the police could come out like this, then why is it that what is going on in the north, in Jos, when you talk about the food basket of the nation, you talk about Benue and so on, why is it that the police cannot come out in this format or in this way? Well, there's a lot of, talks here and there, but then again, this is just an update for you to know that, there was a protest, even though it was pocket-sized, if you choose to call it that way, but people did come out to speak out, and that's what happened.
Yes, I mean, you've seen the police had a dialogue with the protesters. Things seem to be civil now, but why do they disperse them with tear gas? Why does it always have to get to that point where you have to use force to disperse them? Journalists were caught in the crosshairs. Our correspondent had tear gas in his eyes. So I don't think it's really necessary. It's a civil, inalienable right of Nigerians to protest. So why would the police disrupt them? They're not obstructing traffic. They're not constituting a nuisance. They're not a threat to security in any way. So why do you have to chase them away like criminals?
Conversations will continue, Benga, and when you ask that question, people always take it back to the current President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, how he himself, led a protest and ensured that every single person come out during the Goodluck Jonathan Ibele's administration, where he had said there needs to be a rescind, needs to take it back in terms of the fuel subsidy. We do remember that incident, and we do remember that they came out, the crowd was...
Pastor Tunde Bakare
was there. It was, the Kuti, Fela's sons, they were there. You name them, everybody, every prominent person was there.
Protesting is a right tonight. It's a right that Nigerians have. You can't guarantee them. What the police can do is, ensure that there is safety and security granted to the Nigerian citizens who are protesting, because the right or the responsibility of the police is to grant safety and security. And just to, again, piggyback on the reason why this protest is happening, the primary reason isn't like an end bad governance protest. Why the Take It Back movement is going on this protest is because they are protesting against the Cybercrime Prohibition and Prevention Act 2015. Now, when this act was established, initially, it was established to curb certain crimes like, internet fraud, identity fraud, and had good motives behind it. However, there's a section of the act that has been subject to multiple interpretation, which is Section 24 of the Cybercrime Act, that they have said is talking about targeting cyber stalking and words or offenses that can be interpreted as insults. Now, many people have said that Section 24 has been used as a weapon, has been weaponized to arrest dissenting voices such as journalists and critics of the government, and this is why they are actually calling for the repeal of the Cybercrime Act. I'm hoping that the National Assembly as well is taking notes. This is not just something that Nigerian masses can, the only thing that the Nigerian public can do is continue to make noise about this, the legislature has a responsibility to see that the laws and their instruments, the legal instruments that they employ, are for the benefit of the Nigerian populace and not to intimidate, stifle, or deprive the Nigerian citizens of their rights. So yes, we will be talking much more about this later when we interview someone, a representative from the protest, and maybe we'll get to have the honor of having Omoyele Sowore as well, if time permits, but we'll see how it goes today on the show. Let's bring you our top stories this morning on Breakfast Central. This morning, the police dispersed Cybercrime Act protesters with tear gas. And these are some of the updates we'll be looking into. Abure Obi calls separate NEC meetings after court order. The drama still continues and the plot thickens with the Labour Party. Political parties jostle for top candidates amidst merger talks. And the SDP, of course, is a chief conversation there. Army chief engages Plateau communities amid attacks. The newspaper front pages will be reviewed. We'll open the phone lines for you to call and share your thoughts as well. For all these and more, stay with us. Personnel of the Nigeria Police Force have disrupted a planned protest organized by the Take It Back movement. The demonstrators who gathered to demand an end to bad governance and the alleged misuse of the Cybercrime Act were dispersed with tear gas as operatives attached to the Nigerian police swiftly moved to halt the rally. News Central's National Assembly correspondent Sagir Ibrahim reports.
Heavy security presence at key entry and exit points in Abuja signaled early signs of restricted movement across the city. The attempt aimed at ending the planned protest was unsuccessful as the demonstrators converged in front of the Transcorp Hilton, a second venue for the protest. Chanting songs of solidarity and carrying placards with different inscriptions expressing their grievances, they called for good governance and the protection of civil liberties. The protesters, led by activists under the Take It Back movement, say the rally was organized to draw national attention to what they describe as the increasing suppression of free speech and the shrinking of Nigeria's civil space.
As we are having this march today, it's happening in Lagos as well. Yes. It's happening in Port Harcourt. Yes. And these ones are rehearsals. Yes. The time will come where all Nigerians will come out and nobody can stop them. Yes. Our program cannot be stopped by police program. Yes. So let them go and make the calls, let them radio to the illegal IGP. Yes. We want to move and nobody can stop us. Yes.
But just as the rally gathered momentum, police officers fired multiple rounds of tear gas canisters into the crowd, forcing demonstrators to run for safety. Reacting to the incident, a human rights lawyer described the crackdown as unlawful and a violation of constitutional rights.
This IGP Egwetoku, you must be rule of law compliant. Right. You cannot silence us. Right. We will still continue to protest. Right. You have dispatched us with your tear gas, unleashed terror on us as if you are fighting terrorists. Right. Innocent protesters that only have placards. Right. That is the people you have come to flex muscle on. Right. Whereas the bandits are having free-for-all fight, in the bushes.
With the protests broken up and major roads cleared off security barricades, normalcy returned to parts of the city by noon. However, uncertainty now looms over the next steps for the protest organizers and whether further rallies will hold across other parts of the country. In Abuja for News Central, I'm Sagir Ibrahim.
Thank you very much, Sagir Ibrahim, for that update. I don't know what to call it. It was very heartbreaking to see. I could see the passion with which those people spoke. And the question is, why did they need to use tear gas? Was there a potential for violence? Did they see that there was any form of violence that had erupted in any part? Because it feels like we're very quick to see the Nigerian police use tear gas to disperse protesters, water cannons, tear gas. Whilst I would always choose tear gas over live bullets anytime, any day, I would say that tear gas should only be used when it's absolutely necessary. So can we say that yesterday's protest 100% required the use of tear gas?
I don't think so. You can talk to them that, okay, we'll give you a time frame. If you remember the End Bad Governance protest last year, they had a time frame. Okay, it's 4 p.m. or 5 p.m. You guys should disperse and go back home. So it doesn't need to get to that level. You're talking to young adults, civilized adults here. So why the use of tear gas, like you said in the first place? And it burns. If you've ever experienced it before, it really, really burns. It's not child's play. So for them to use that sort of thing on you like you're a criminal, it's not right. You can ask some of our experienced colleagues that have battled with tear gas. Bernard Akede for one, now Sergei Ibrahim. Hopefully, not hopefully. I don't. You're too.
No, you can go on behalf of breakfast.
No, I've experienced it before.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That's nice.
It burns. You use milk and water to clear your eyes.
No. Reading the Nigerian news every day is enough tear gas because the stories I see burn my eyes. It's very hard.
Absolutely right.
All right.
I've just been watching both of you. I'm inspired.
Have you experienced it before?
No, I'm just inspired.
Do you want to experience tear gas?
I'm just inspired.
Okay.
Wow, what a question.
I'm just inspired.
But you know, when I see videos like this, sometimes I don't want to watch them because it triggers me and it reminds me of NSAS protests and it reminds me of how young people were treated. I mean, look at the way that one is being pulled like a criminal. Why is he being dragged like a criminal? Why is he being dragged in this manner? What is wrong in him holding a Nigerian flag and a banner? Is it a crime to hold a Nigerian flag? Since when did protesting become criminalized in Nigeria? If we want to criminalize protesting, then let's go rewrite our laws. Let's change our system of governance. Let's know that democracy is not a system of governance in Nigeria because we can't continue to operate like this and act and look the other way and pretend like we don't know what is going on. This is exactly what they're protesting against, silencing of dissenting voices. And it's such a shame.
Well, it would also shock you to note that while Nigeria was engaging in the Take It Back protest, in America, there were also protests. Protests was ongoing. We didn't see any tear gas, and America seems to be the citadel for democracy that Nigeria emulates.
Should not ever compare themselves to the U.S. police. Those ones, they use live bullets. They step on your neck like George Floyd. They use water cannons. You need to see the aggression in which. So I would say kudos. And also yesterday, Nigeria Police celebrated Police Day 2024. So it's a day to honor and also celebrate. They never had this day before. We always celebrate men and women of the Nigerian Armed Forces on January 15th, Armed Forces Remembrance Day. So it's nice that they put aside a day. And this was one of the reasons why the IGP said, you know, this protest is mischievous. They're trying to downplay the
significance of the event
of Police Day. So it's good that they had one. They're bad eggs and they're good eggs, but they need to do something about the bad eggs because it does a serious reputational damage to the Nigerian police.
Do you think increasing the salary cap would actually help curb the situation of having bad eggs?
Where they live, their homes of residence. I mean, if you drive by and see some of them, you will understand why they act in the way they do. It's not fit for human habitation. So they need to do a lot of holistic change of the welfare package, their homes, pensions, and all of that to make them very proud of their profession. Because, I mean, you'd rather see policemen than criminals out there. It's a very tough job.
It's a tough one. But anyway, we'll give you an update very, very soon to know if the protests will indeed continue, and then we'll let you know what the protesters have been able to achieve. But we'll go for a quick break. When we come back, we have more conversations. Stay with us here on Breakfast Central.
In today's high-stake world of politics in Nigeria, political parties across the nation are jostling for top candidates amidst merger talks. The political landscape in the build-up to 2027 is heating up, and the stakes couldn't be higher. On this segment of our discussion, we break these high stakes as we x-ray the conversations ongoing into the build-up of these processes, if any of such merger talks and formations. Today we're joined for this discussion by Otunba Segun Showunmi, a chieftain of the People's Democratic Party. Good morning. Thank you for joining us.
Nice to be in your studios. Good morning, guys.
It's great to have you.
Good to see you
Welcome.
physically.
Beautiful, well laid out.
Thank
well
you.
neat. Good.
Thank you very much. There's so much conversations about the possibility of a merger, where the SDP in the most recent time have been at the fore of the conversations. There have been rumors about the potential of Alhaji Atiku Abubakar and His Excellency Peter Obi moving to the SDP. Can you confirm this?
It's difficult to confirm what a big politician of Atiku's stature would do while he's still moving around and having conversation. Because of his long-term stay in the play, you remember that he's been around since 92, and he's never been too far from the top position, either vice president, president, trying to be president. So with Atiku is really the issue when it comes to position conversation. Whatever he does, however he does it, will be discussed. Sometimes when people are still at the planning stage, there's always a tendency for Nigerians to jump into conclusions. Yeah. They speculate and jump. So for me, I will prefer that the media should wait for him to take whatever decision he wants to take. In the case of Peter Obi, I think Peter must be the biggest fish in the ocean now when it comes to opposition play. And that has nothing to do with reducing the value of the others. You must see that until Peter came in 2023 and ran that race he ran, it almost seemed like Nigeria was bipolar, left or right, left or right. Peter is a guy that really actually introduced the audacity of a top force in the real sense. People have tried it before. Obasanjo has always been obsessed with the idea of a top force, never really flown. But once Peter got into that space, then the top force has become some kind of reality in people's mind. And really, people crave for it. But what will Peter do? Peter will have to be smart. He has to understand that sometimes when you have gotten to a certain position, you shouldn't allow yourself to be carried back to the position you were before you took the risk of getting to that position. But hey, it's Peter's call. If he wants to go to SDP, the question Peter will have to ask himself is that what great value does SDP bring for him as an individual that Labour did not bring? If he thinks SDP has more structure, okay, good for him. He's going to find out it's not always that the grass is greener on the other side. The other question he's going to have to ask himself is that when a lot of young people are always looking at him, or already looking at him as the go-to guy, the guy that represents their anger, their energy, or whatever it is that they say Peter represents, will you not go and dilute people who, you know? So Peter will have to be Peter. When he makes up his mind, and Peter is quite capable of pulling surprises. I remember in the build-up to 2019, I mean, I know myself very well, and he knows too, I put a lot of pressure on him to run under PDP. My great expectation at that time was that if he had gone through the whole primary process, well, I knew he was popular with young people, but he didn't even know that popularity was that much. But I kept telling him, Peter, the people are, because it's the kind of thing I'm interested in. I'd hope that he would buy the ticket, which he did, and I'd hope that he would go through the primary, which plus or minus he may not win. Even if he didn't win, I knew that everybody would have been absolutely sure that Peter had to be on the ticket. So I was like kind of like looking forward to the 2019 experience, which I was the spokesperson. Atiku would be ticket. I knew that if they had been wise enough, fact on the ground deciding their action, they would have known that that's the only ticket that can win. But they didn't do that until it gone.
What do you think went wrong? Was it an ego problem?
No. It was not an ego problem by any stretch of imagination. You see, because we are PDP, we're not like those parties that dash people tickets. We don't do that. We're so democratic, we're so robust in our systems that never mind what people are saying, we always do primaries. And you have to jostle for our ticket. So by the time the jostling is taking place, most often times people have started seeing themselves falling back. So by the time we're running into 2019, it was pretty clear that it was going to be a clear race between Atiku Abubakar and Nyesom Wike. It was going to be that. In fact, I was so nervous. I thought Wike was going to just beat us. You know what? The guy was so phenomenal. Before I get here, he had been there. Before I reached there, and I was running for Atiku. I said, God damn, this guy is something else. So obviously things like that will affect other people who really want to go to the ballot. Maybe that made Peter think, oh, why would the Igbos be on the PDP, been here consistent, supporting, and never been given the ticket? Why would they be talking about the Southern ticket and everybody in PDP will not simply just know that QED, no conversation, you've given it to Yoruba, you've given it to Southside Jonathan. Why would you even be making us struggle? So that must have been some constitution, and he probably wasn't ready for, nobody that doesn't spend shishi. So he wasn't ready for the kind of money that we do. Anyway, long story short, Peter was in Labour. if anyone told anybody in Nigeria that the Labour Party will come so close, those who are even fair-minded, will probably tell you that, we can't be sure. Because if you have an election where people are gaslighting a race, like they were gaslighting the Igbos, they're bringing the Google here, they're doing this, they're beating them, you never know how much of their numbers you discourage from coming out. And if you have a system that, okay, everybody's not sure, was it this, was it that, you got to, but you have to accept that the audacity and the energy of Peter and his movement was absolutely humble.
I mean, he beat the president in Lagos.
No. The Yorubas, my people, have always had a Republican outlook to election. We've never gone to an election where one person gets all the votes in our zone. Literally, we vote. We don't do all this one-way traffic that others do. After all, Article 1 in Osun, and you will have to ask, do you not know even the relationship that is rumored about the president and Osun? That's how the Yorubas are. In Peter's enclave, it was a little bit strange. They gave him 98% of the vote. That's quite troubling. How did they even achieve that? In the north, too, they're beginning to become more Republican. But the fact of the matter is that even if he hadn't been Peter, if he had been another smart people person, the numbers, you see PDP, I can tell you for free, our numbers in the Southwest, because we're always in opposition here, we've always made up those numbers by non-indigenous groups.
So you don't think it was particularly about the person, the character, and the pedigree of Peter Obi?
There's no pedigree to banter in the midst of other politicians. When you're going to ban that pedigree, you have to ask yourself, he was a governor, what does that really translate to? Where's Anambra? You can't compare Anambra to what Akpabio did in Akwa Ibom. That's what I'm saying. I don't want to dispute that, but I'm just saying that there is always a science to how the movement happens. And people like me are interested in that because people do a lot of things on based assumption. They love psychophancy more than they love facts, and most often time they get disappointed. So the truth of the matter is that 2023 was also an unusual election. I have a feeling, just a small feeling, that people are outrunning and outpacing themselves because of what happened in 2023. But I want to just quickly say, so that it will be on record, so that when I'm right again, I can say, I'm right. 2027 will not resemble anything like 2023.
In what way?
The priorities will be completely different. You have to please be merciful to the president. He practically was fighting his own party over and above fighting Nigeria. There was a lot of, power blocks in his party who just felt that, they don't want to make it happen. They were doing a lot of policies that could ordinarily have been done to support his aspiration. You could almost say that they were doing policies that would even actually make him climb the steep hill. And if he was outside the block, so many people bought a ticket, beat the vice president, a lot of that. And they got to the presidential election, where you have almost like a three-horse race. A Hausa Fulani man, or if you like a Fulani man, an Igbo man, and a Yoruba man. That's classic Obafemi Awolowo, Tafa Balewa, and Zik politics. Yeah. In those days, that's why people must give Bella his feathers. I give you your cap, you did well, you have a strategy. In those days, it was always so tough for Obafemi Awolowo to get the required numbers to move over. And so he always came, short. And there would always be, it was rigged, it was that. But the question is that he always came short. Now that's simply on the line on the table.
So what will be different in 2027?
I think you will have to know that. I can tell my people all the time, but they don't listen. Or maybe they hear and they just pretend that maybe I'm not telling them.
By your people, you mean the PDP?
Yeah, my PDP and even all the opposition. Listen, you have to understand that every election is a referendum. It is a two-way referendum. It is a referendum on the ruling party, who will naturally come to the table with this project we did, that we did, this is what we made, this is where we made it and all that. But it's also a referendum on the opposition. Because, you see, elections are scientifically called residual decision-making events. That's a science of it. For people to actually get to the point where they have to take that decision, they will have to do what we call a residual, that's a recall of certain information and activity. So if opposition spends the last 2 years bickering, fighting, squabbling, saying nothing, not speaking to the future, assuming that just by saying, oh, the man is not good, that's going to give them the number. They jump too much. Elections are going to be managed in 3 layers. There is one layer that belongs to the territorial commanders. Who are the territorial commanders, if you may ask? People like governors, people like senators, people like the people who are already within the space. Those territorial commanders have the capability to bring some numbers to the table. Elections are also going to be decided by people that are already passionate members of political party who will not move even if their party is dying. People like Shaggy Showunmi, they go, I'm going to lose this election, but let me just... There will be those ones, and APC has that as well. Then there will always be the big middle. Who are those big middle? The big middles are those people that usually will just say, it's not my business, I'm not interested in coming out, whatever you do is not like that. But sometimes you get them to come out. That was what Peter got the last time, the big middle. People who ordinarily will say, no, I beg, I know they do. I'm not interested. You have to put your eyes on those big middle. And the things the big middle look for, you have to teach you on another program.
Let's look at the projections for 2027 because it just feels like people have moved.
Yeah, I know. They move so fast, right?
Everybody's
it's almost like the election is next week.
Yeah. And let's talk about the PDP as a party.
My party.
How has your party fared? Would you say your party has fared as a formidable opposition so far? Would you say it's fared properly? Or would you say that, the party has broken down completely?
Thank you. But let me educate you and let me beg, let me through you, gentlemen and ladies, beg the media. Do not interpret opposition to mean chaos. A country like ours with all of our issues, unemployment and all of that, opposition must be measured. Opposition must be idea putting on the table, written criticism, spokesperson interface and all that. You see that nonsense when you want people to be emptied into the street all the time is the most destructive, unreasonable, irresponsible form of opposition. Because you know why? First of all, before you decide that you want to upturn a system with call them out and beat them up and all that kind of nonsense, you want to look at the backline of those people who are doing that to see, to just assume for a second, close your eyes and say, okay, if we actually give the country to them, assuming this nonsense they're doing works, if we give the country to them, can they manage it? Now, when you see that they can't, then you now begin to say, okay, to what end and what purpose is this demagogy and pedagogy of the style of the former era when you could say the ideological defense of conservative is this, that of progressive is this, that of communism is... The world has morphed and people are just being damn lazy. The world has morphed so much that people don't just do riot for riot's sake. They take big issues, which they want the ruling party or whoever is in charge of the country to worry about, and then they do some protest. But they don't protest every other day whenever they are bored. So if that's what people are expecting from PDP, that's totally wrong. It's not correct.
Nobody said that.
I'm just leading you somewhere. When we were in government, and we ruled this country, I believe, effectively for 16 years, our rivals adopted this rather strange and crazy approach, which was that it didn't matter what policy we felt the country needed, like let's remove subsidy, let's do this. They knew, as leaders of the opposition, not uneducated, they knew it was the right policy, but they chose to play.
I mean, in hindsight,
they knew, even then. They chose to play the policy. I've had some of their characters stand on the podium and say, oh, we knew, and then they laugh about something that had serious impact on the people. The resultant effect is that they delayed progress. Now, because we have ruled before, we have led this country before, we understand how fluid the mechanism of keeping the country together. We understand how delicate balancing democracy is. We're not going that way. Now they're in charge. When they do a policy, we always have a point of view on it. We'll criticize it more than anybody else. Atiku will put out a position on it. That's opposition. The only thing that the Nigerian people must know is that opposition is not chaos.
But they say your house is not in order. So how can you effectively function as a viable opposition?
With due respect, you must understand that a political party is not exactly a garrison. It's only in a garrison that somebody just backs another and all the citizens just say, aye, sir, and move, because that's how they are supposed to be. In a political party, a democratic one at that, like the PDP, people are expected to have opportunity for dissent. They're expected to have conversation within house. They're expected to go to court if they need to and all that. And those things you see there, it is a reflection of the character mix of the people of Nigeria. We are not a one people, one culture, one attitude country. We are a rainbow of coalition of different culture, different attitude, different interpretation of how we express dissent. And therefore, all the other parties too should learn. Whatever it is you see happening with the PDP, it's going to happen with any big political party.
But the duration of this...
Because, you see, again, that has to do with the fact that in our country, our cases in courts don't get resolved overnight. There are some countries that, within a week, like if you see with Rwanda, where they did an election and they had to do another one, they were in and out of the Supreme Court in less than a couple of weeks. We have High Court, Court of Appeal, Supreme Court. So sometimes, even when someone's case is being lost at the Court of Appeal, or the High Court, because we are allowed to go to the next court, he will still go to the next court. He will still go to the answer. Then the other reason is that we have a rather noisy, if you like, cruise catching young people on social media. So things that ordinarily should not even come to their notice, should not be within their purview. They shouldn't have a comment on, because they can't even weigh in one way or the other. It gets to be discussed because PDP is open. And so you will always say, oh, somebody is arguing with this one, they have an argument. But the question you have to ask is that, if it is like that with the PDP, then it will be like that with Labour. Why does it seem like our rivals have the piece of the graveyard? Are there no men and women of stature there who could feel that, oh, no, you are cheating me? And must they always run out of their party when they have been utter frustrated like Nasiru El-Rufai? It's not the way of democracy. Do not imagine that democracy means one man will just speak and everybody will roll over. You may desire it. There is a model somewhere in the world which I'm studying now, which is the Chinese model. The Chinese model is they prefer consensus from within before they now get to party. But there's a way they built it. It's built on a lot of very, very stringent, and they call it fact-based decision-making process. Fact-based. So they have a lot of research institutes. They have a lot of organizations that look at everything and everything before the leadership now take a decision. And when they take the decision, everybody in the Communist Party line up. They even tell us that it's even more democratic than the one we do. But I'm still studying it. I hope that I'm able to. I like to do this kind of thing. I don't think so I can.
I still want to go back to the question I asked you earlier, and the one that my colleague in a way had asked.
Our party.
Yes, the people, PDP. The PDP has faced a number of, some of the members, key figures in the PDP have faced challenges in the past year or so. PDP governor is currently suspended. In fact, at the point where he had...
the Rivers issue?
Yes. Okay. So not just that. So there's the Rivers issue. There's Nyesom Wike, who the people have asked, is Nyesom Wike bigger than the People's Democratic Party? Is the party afraid of Nyesom Wike? So it just feels like there's been a number of issues.
You know what?
So let's maybe start with that.
Let's start with the Nyesom Wike issue.
Yes.
You see, people expect that they will win when they have not put in the effort to win. Nyesom Wike, being a member of the party, they've always called him the challenge before we got to the 2018-2017 convention, where a lot of the Yoruba people wanted to be national chairman, and he wanted to put Use Secondos. We had done all the crisscrossing, but when the chiefs were down, they voted for his man. Now, when they voted for Wike's man, which was Secondos, only to turn around and start blaming him. People forget that the decision, the responsibility of that final decision is yours. It doesn't matter whether you say they bribed you, they bullied you, the decision is yours. And when you do a convention, it's the key highest members of society, former this, former that. If they took that decision, how is Wike to blame? Leave that. We ran into this, we ran that race until we go to 2019. And Atiku Abubakar won that election. But Wike backed Tambuwa. Was it his right to back somebody? Yes, it is his right. Should he push as hard as he can? Yes, he should push. And Atiku won. What did Wike do? Everybody came together and worked very hard to push that election. Atiku won, PDP won in Rivers, PDP won everywhere. How is Wike the problem? Then we came to 2023, the build-up to 2023. You know, we came, you owe me money because every time I say this, people say you are paying me, and you are not paying me, and you know it, and I don't even talk to you like that. They went to Asaba, a meeting presided over by the man who then eventually became our vice president, Okowa. And they all agreed, governors agreed that the next election is going to be a southern election. Asaba was not even there. He didn't attend. For one, maybe he was out of the country or busy. The very next day in the morning, I ran to, I think it's Arise or one of them, I can't remember, TVC. I was bellowing with a lot of power that, look, political parties are not under obligation to zone according to another political party. This is a trap for PDP. We've gone south, north. If we can go anywhere we want to go, they have only gone north. Why would you be sitting down with them and be signing an accord that says everybody must go south? Do you realize the implication of this thing? And I said, in that case, if PDP is to go south, the only south we can go that is equitable, that is fair and just is to the Igbos. Wike was not there. You know what happened? PDP governors then sat down and said, to the same Wike guy that they are blaming, Mr. Wike, you are the only one that can help us do this thing. Throw yourself into the ring. So he threw himself into the ring and did everything he needed to do and worked very hard and was driving. And one day when I thought that it was too toxic, that this toxicity is always I'm saying this, I then got Mr. Adoke, your former attorney general, please go and tell him that you cool it down. So I said, no, Sheikh, I can't even tell him because you know who he is. I want to take you there to tell him. When I got him, you know what I was doing? Oh, Wike, dead. That guy is misunderstood. I said, sir, I can no longer take it for granted that you are powerful because you are able to manage your system. But do you not mind recognizing that Article 2 has a lot of gravitas because it's been contested for a long time? Can you just stop this unnecessary attack? And you know what he told me? He said, Segun, I'm not the one that attacks them first. The only thing I do is I respond. I agree that my own response can be much, but I never hit them first. Anyway, you said many things, the one I can share, which is relevant for this. I went back. I started, you know, the internet never forgets. I started coming back. You know what I found? I found out that on every occasion he was responding. It would always be one joker who doesn't even understand what we're trying to do with the article plea that will go and attack, then he will attack. I said, Lyra, this is what this guy's doing. Okay, we did our primaries. He won, we won, up us. He didn't come, he came second. Critical thing you should know there is that when you do a primaries and you short the delegate and the delegate has finished, you know, like you have all finished doing your final address. Any decent politician will know that giving another character the opportunity to come and do a second address without giving all of them it means there's a bit of 6.5 exhaustion. UK had to deal with that and suffer that. He didn't take the party to court. Next thing in the morning, the man who was supposed to be fair and arbitrary in the IU runs to the other man's house and starts calling him the way of them. There are things you do to offend people's sensibilities. Then he came and said, okay, moves himself out, goes back to his rivers, worrying about how to install this in Fubara. He asked him and said he wanted a vice presidential contest. I can tell you because I know. The last end of this, one of them is dead now, the former woman leader. She was at that meeting, I know. They went to Wike in Rivers and started telling, oh, Wike, come and be vice president. Wike didn't answer them. Said, no, he's not interested. Then the woman got up and made a pitch in the midst of her colleagues and started crying. And in that moment, one moment of emotion, Wike, I'm told, cried. And said, okay, I will do it. Then you send him to the process. They have to crisscross. So you knew you had your decision. It didn't matter that you had your preconceived decision. They crisscross. You did the caucus. The caucus took a decision. We know he was the one that was considered most preferred. It is the prerogative of the president Atiku to pick his man. He picked who he picked. Now, do you see the way I'm laying it on to you? How then do you come around and start kind of like just shouting, Wike?
So that means he's well within his rights.
No, listen, always within his rights. And then this one that he's doing. They finished, he said very clearly, we are going to support, we are not supporting Atiku. Obviously, you can say all the builder why they are angry. He had his 5 friends join him. Leave that, that's not the important thing. The important thing is that at a point, a lot of pressure will come. He then said, okay, we can give you another compromise position. You can't have the presidential candidate in the north, the chairman of the party in the north. Can you please just replace the chairman so that we can have something in the south? Conveniently, it couldn't happen. Okay, listen, you expect people to just lay on the ground, roll over and die for you? So that went the way it went. Then, of course, we became short. After PDP became short. When Atiku lost that election, I became so annoyed because I knew why we lost it. I called it a self-inflicted injury. I was so annoyed with myself, I almost became a heretic. I kept saying, God, but why didn't you let him see it? It was that bad for me. Not that I was going to get anything, but I was just thinking that how could the ball be a penalty? And how could you even lump it in? Anyway, then the president, the man in charge now last week, and said, oh, I want you to come and join my party. Oh, this wicked guy. He reached out to him that, oh, I want you to come and join my cabinet. Wicked. If you fight Wicked the way they are fighting, I swear they're going to lose to him 20 times. You know what he did? Most people just say, oh, Mr. President, thank you very much. I'll do. Wicked was smart enough. He penned a nice letter to his party in the state telling them, I've been invited. What do people think? He penned a nice letter to the zonal. Yeah. He penned a nice letter to the national. Party in the state said, oh, as a court to serve it, go and do it. Right of membership. Now, the court that gave him that powers just recently have now said, oh, PDP, and that's because another case went to court, the Samayan Udokoye case. The president said, oh, court, the Supreme Court, the highest in the land, and said, oh, political party, it is your prerogative to manage your processes. Do not bother us with your internal affairs. It is just about now.
Same with LP.
That they have it in black and white, that they can do whatever they want and nobody cares. The question then will now be, on whose behalf are they going to fight Wike? Is it on behalf of those who don't do as much as it does even behind the scenes? Is it on behalf of those who are neither here nor there? Is it on behalf of those who are not providing the kind of strong leadership that people like? So if they want to suspend him, they have to also take up a second problem. The second problem will be, okay, let's write the letter. So which Wike, you are expelled. Okay, after your happiness, we have expelled him. What does it really translate to? Wike is not in that kind of weak position. I'll tell you why. It's not because he's tall. It's not even very tall. It's not because he's fat. It's not very fat. He's a smallish one, just like the president. They're like two peas in a pod. Wike is that way because in 2023, he ran the presidential primary. You know what that does for you? It gives you structures in every state. For you to run for presidential primary, you will create structures in every place. You will fund your structures in every place. You can't even measure how many of the so-called people that are just talking, how many of them are even with him. People like me who shoot straight and tell them this is how it is, they sometimes accuse me, but I want to put it publicly on record. I'm not in that way with Wike. So just that you may desire to defeat Goliath, you will need to take on the whole breastplate of the Holy Ghost for David to do that. If David had gone there without preparation, Goliath would have picked him up and cut off his neck.
Okay, let's move away from Wike now. Let's look at the PDP crisis. We've talked about River State. The River State issue.
Okay, the River State. Okay.
So far so good, we've not seen a lot of PDP members coming out to speak against the suspension of Sim Fubara. One would think that normally by now there would have been a lot of persons would have come, not just you.
Yeah, I'll tell you why.
Yeah.
Now remember that it's politics, so that it gives you power. And power would not come to you without people working very hard to put you there. No matter how brilliant you think you are, if you don't have strong energy, you will fail. Even if you win ticket, you will not be able to find the resources and the energy for the general election. Even if you win the general election, our habits in Nigeria, you will go almost all the way to Supreme Court. That's a lot of money, that's a lot of strategy. In our case in Rivers, this Wike, being the governor, like every other governor tried to, wanted to install a successor. Against the run of play, even I couldn't understand why he was going for that guy, because really, I always like party people. Because party people understand the sufferings that party men go through to create office. It's supposed to be running on the party's ideology and their mission. And if you don't know the party, I can't even know their ideology, their style, their house style and all that. You know what I mean? If you've not been here, if you don't work here, how will you know the house style here? If you live here and go to another organization, you need to kind of like learn their own house style. That's how politics is, as far as I'm concerned. Anyway, He picked this guy who is out on the accountant general. You know the kind of wala that he took. Wike practically fought people to a standstill. Lee, Meba, Abie Sekibo, Sekondu, these are all party men because he wanted to install it. Then they did, serves him right, they start having that problem. Anybody that is anybody in Nigeria spoke on the back end. The crisis in Rivers, Otunba put it squarely on the head of River State leaders, including Jonathan, who's an German. You would expect that, okay, it starts first like a small slight. It starts dragging on. It's dragging almost 2 years. Instead of the elders there to go behind and tell both of them enough and beg and use whatever to cool them down. You know what they were doing? They will see that the wicked ones will instigate wicked ones. Look at they don't abuse them back. The people want to start instigating them. This was how they kept making it worse. I know, because I'm in the play. The vice president of the country, His Excellency Vice President, got involved, called them, talk. I know how that went, but I don't want to make one side guiltier than the other. It didn't work. Out of the abundance of, okay, I'm the president of Nigeria, am I going to watch them just misbehaving in the, they got the garden that the goose that lays the golden egg. That's where we get a lot of, okay, maybe he calls them and says, gentlemen, okay, I don't want to give you instructions, bring leaders from your side, bring leaders from yours, let's come and sit down and agree. What they could have agreed at home by themselves. They all come from the same stable. Every damn one of them, governor, deputy, vice, senate, rep, all to the National Assembly, were all from the weakest stable. If they had a problem of this magnitude, how is it even conceivable? Imagine, so that you understand the gravity of what has happened there. Imagine if Babatunde Fashola as governor of Lagos had gone that route. What would have become of Bola Tinubu today? Okay, so we can start fighting back. I've told you what kind of person he is and how he fights. Now we have a situation where the Supreme Court now says those 27 are the legitimate, blah, 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 all of the judgment. I read that Supreme Court judgment and it forced me to go and read the Joyce Abdul Malik judgment. And I first said to myself, one, so you know I'm not really partisan or maybe pushing on one side. Abdul Malik, with due respect to you, your lordship, me lord, appropriation is a state function and the state high court ordinarily is the one that has to have that jurisdiction. You shouldn't have taken jurisdiction on a state matter because that's why you have the state high court and appropriation is purely an internal affairs of it. I didn't like that Abdul Malik delved into it in the first instance and made those consequential instructions, don't give them money, don't this, don't that. They pushed it all the way to the Supreme Court, the lordship of the Supreme Court. The responsibility, my lords, of the Supreme Court, because this is the final court on the land and the court of policy, ought to know that beyond the legal terminology they use, they have a duty to adjudicate according to the conscience and the expectation of society. You put us in a cul-de-sac, and then you went and said that the court, what's the name, the judge, the Amauli led and the assembly, was that the case before you? Okay. Assuming you've done that, okay, tell me. The president gave them a couple of weeks, I'm talking nicely about it, that doesn't mean I want to abuse it tomorrow. The president then gave them a couple of weeks to see whether when they go back home, they'll do what they need to do. What did they do? The governor will say he's coming to give them the budget.
It was Tom and Jerry.
Exactly. They just kept doing Tom and Jerry. What would any decent person do? Well, it's okay. Enough of this nonsense, state of emergency. In the first instance for 6 months. When they put the state of emergency down, he does it into Gazette. They take it to the National Assembly. Pray that they don't approve. Once they approve, that's the law. There's nothing you can do about that. So what are we supposed to do? You don't know the amount of mechanism we've put in at the back. But they said to get that. No, wait. You've seen the governor of Bayelsa. You've seen the law. We won't tell you all of that. Those are not for public consumption. Just to see whether we can close their RAM. Because obviously we are not going to kill one of them for the other. So we'll have to figure out a way to manage both of them. And I have said to His Excellency from the governor of Rivers, similarly for Bara, the journey from home being your caucus with the Wike and Co. even if it be as far as to Australia, it's the same distance back home. And I've tried to say, I don't see any easy way out other than you guys go back to where you started from and heal yourself. And I shared with them a big axiom I tell people when they are quarreling too much. I say, none is all good, none is all bad. So you can find a middle ground. Because I don't understand what if the federal government could not solve it, if the court of law could not solve it, what exactly would the PDP do, given that that's an environment where people are very energetic and animated. It's not unlike them to start saying, I wanna, shana, tana. That's how they are. It's not unlike them to say, if you didn't do, you didn't do. If you know, it's not like it's a weekend day, there's always a lot of energy there. So managing them requires that you must do within the law, you must be patient to run the course, and I think the state of emergency is working. The rhetoric has reduced. I wish the Supreme Court had written in their own judgment that we bar both sides from public comments. That would have even made it a lot easier, but it didn't bar them.
What do you think the end game is for Rivers? How do we go back to, post state of emergency? Do you think the parties would have resolved their differences?
The way I would say is this: Rivers State leaders, you saw Wike, especially you like football. Wike really doesn't have anything to lose if you don't get your state back, really. Technically speaking, you won't lose anything. You are the one that will lose. You have to understand that the butterfly or the mote is in your hand. It's alive. If I ask you, is it alive? You can crush it and it will be dead. If I tell you it is dead, you may release it and let it fly. So it's up to you people. But the one thing you can be sure is that no leader what is solved, no commander-in-chief what is solved would allow that kind of play to continue without some action. And kudos to him, he has stabilized the place. I pray they indicate that they are now good. It's like a husband and wife, they're going for a divorce, and then they get to the divorce court, and then you just sight your babe, and she's looking all, and then you start to smile, and then she looks at you all, and then you just say, okay, my Lord, we're not divorcing again, we're giving ourselves a second chance. Case cool down. People must learn that serving people, serving nation, serving communities, serving state is a service. You don't have to serve against common sense. And nobody is big enough to own the suffrage of the people.
Who is serving against common sense?
They will have to decide among themselves what the issues are around what they are fighting against. But look, there are 36 states in Nigeria. We will not be marked or judged only because of one state.
Are you worried about the state capture? Because it seems
people say state capture.
Yeah, are you worried about that?
Yeah, when people started screaming state capture, I said, okay, is this state capture or state surrender? Okay, let's
because your name has also popped up that you might be...
No. What I have said is that what I have done, when the matter became too noisy, I then sat down and said, what can we do? This democracy must not fail. I then created what I called the alternative movement. That alternative movement was to get us to go back to the basis and start asking ourselves, is there not a better way of doing these things? Oh, citizens, should you not come out to vote when 25 million coming out, when we had about 83 collectively? Where are you all on election day? 2, should we be buying and selling vote? Does this not injure the poor? Because democracy is supposed to be something that allows anybody's child to be anything. If you continue with this vote buying, vote selling, you won't have the money to buy and sell. You'll be needing godfather, godmothers, godsisters to help you, who will then become all sorts of things on your name. Can we just have done? Then should we now be having democracy in the country and not have it in a way where we're not hating the tribes? Before you get Nigeria into a xenophobic attack or tribal anger, look at what happened in Edo area. Why should anybody just take the law to their hands and start killing people? Look at what has happened in Bere. What kind of madness is this? These are crimes being committed. But if we are not careful because of the rhetoric of politics, the north this, the west this, the south this, that, we'll end up making every crime assume cyber dimension. It's not good for us. Then I kept saying, okay, if you bring you leaders and you don't like it, can you just show us the one you like? So, and I've gone down with it. I've gone to all the zones to do the town hall meetings. Anytime now, if I have a little bit more resources, I'm going to start the state by state. What am I hoping for? I'm just hoping for us to have just a slight change of attitude. You know why? The world is changing very fast and we're not paying attention. The president of Singapore, countries that I people like us love, just because of the tariff war going on, he did a very passionate conversation that, look, my people, this is the new thing. Capitalism, as we know it, is breaking down. We need to figure out how we're going to do. This thing will impact us because we're a small nation based on trade. That's how leaders think, and that's how I think. I expect us as a nation to say, okay, is there a better way we can do collaboration and consensus building around power? So that if we can just say, yes, there'll be political parties and people, citizens are the owners of the votes. You can't be blaming PDP because you didn't vote for us. We campaigned. We told you we're better. We showed you our idea. We sent you our manifesto. We showed you our development plan. We danced. We did whatever we could do, but it was your choice.
Right.
When you have now taken that choice, what I don't want you and your media friends, you and your public friends to do is to not be blaming PDP as if we did not present ourselves. Our duty is to present ourselves the best way we can. It is your duty to safeguard your vote and to ensure that
Nigerians are learning that you just don't vote for opposition for the sake of it. And they did it when PDP was removed from anybody, any government in power, by any means necessary, apart from Goodluck Jonathan must go. And they've seen the results of that.
Do you like the outcome?
I mean, it's not.
I'm going to tell you why the outcome is bad. You wanted to form a coalition and you deregistered two parties, mainly ACN and CPC. Fine. If there is nothing good we can take from that, at least give us an alternative party that had pan-Nigeria, disposition. The Southwest handshake in the North. It's not bad. But beyond that, is it the chaos? Is it the cowing of even their own members? They will just wake up in the morning, they will remove chairman. The chairman will not even have the guts to say, I don't agree. They will remove secretary, can't even say, I don't agree. How would anybody even want to be? Well, let me not put my mouth in check because it's politics. And people change their mind. But at least, since 1998, I've been here, supporting the PDP, could trick and tin and being the poster boy and running and shouting.
Do you have any plans for seeking political office?
I have. I tried to be governor in 2023. I got the form, we ran the campaign, we did independent candidacy. All of us did our own thing as we could. We went to court. I won at the Court of Appeal. We went to the Supreme Court. They didn't call the case in time. It became status bad. What did I do? I supported the candidate. Okay. Not out of weakness, but because I feel that, you see, you must build political parties to last. Even in China, the Communist Party is 104 years old. The ANC, African Congress, what do you call the name? They are 124. And the one in the Conservative in UK is about 198, 197. The one in America, 198, 198. Do you understand what I'm saying? If you don't agree that organizations have lifestyle, lifespan, and they go through a lot, and you don't have people who are saying, okay, we'll keep improving it, but we'll be marching on. You will not have anything. The people who are saying they want to coalesce now, they don't even have any party that's agreeing to deregister himself into them. They're just shopping for where they're going to contest the election. One of them hopefully will get it, and what will happen, knowing them, a few of them will go and do deals with the ruling party. Another said to jump out and said they want to go and take another. But just
you just said something. Do you agree? There's also the statement that there seems to be an interest from the APC to ensure that the other opposition parties, let's say opposition parties,
political parties don't do themselves favors.
Are not strong.
Just listen. Political parties don't do themselves favors. And it is the responsibility of political party to do whatever it can to win, especially when it's the ruling party. It's the responsibility of opposition to do whatever it can.
The game is the game.
It's the game is the game. Look, in 2011,
are not gentlemanly tactics.
In 2011, so before you start calling people all sorts of strange names, in 2011, the ACN, as they were then called, had the presidential candidate. And the PDP had, of course, Jonathan. And there's a lot of rumor that the big man of ACN, Bala Tinubu, didn't put in as much gravitas into helping them to win that election. And people say, okay, I can tell you the backstory if you want, if you are interested. They wanted to do the Buhari one, they wanted to do the Muslim ticket. Then they told him, oh, we are not doing Muslim ticket again. Without asking him for an opinion, then they told him, oh, we have made up our mind, Pastor Tony Bakari will be the running mate. Classic Bola mate. You know what I told them? He said, and I'm quoting, I agree that my younger brother's leg is bad, and you may need to cut off my 2 legs to repair his leg. I agree. The only challenge here is that you have not provided me with a wheelchair. And he got up and left. And that was the end of the election. So what I'm trying to say is that there are men who are territorial commanders in politics. because of the effort, the hard work, the investment, the people behind it. When you are confronted with a territorial commander, you have to negotiate. Never imagine that you are too old, you are too wrong, you are too rich, you are too... If you don't negotiate, and the territorial commander steps away from the table, then whatever you see, you take.
In all our conversation this morning, it's territorial commander, one big man, one big personality. This is democracy. They call it the game of numbers. Where are the ordinary Nigerians?
Did you not hear when I said the big? Did you not hear when I said at the beginning the big middle? You see, don't be deceived. I've been spending a lot of time on one research. The research is that in Nigeria, Twitter and social media, does it translate to boots on ground? Does Twitter translate to boots on ground? And I'll tell you, so far I'm seeing that it doesn't. And the reason why you know it doesn't is all of the off-season election. Kogi, you couldn't find what I call obedient. Edo, even when they had a good man, they couldn't find them. Igbo, you couldn't find them. Bayelsa, you couldn't find them. Where then is the boots on ground? I have discovered, and I'm beginning to feel persuaded, that our people, a great number of them, just like to metasize, they are jiving, just abusing everybody, insulting people and all that kind of jargons. Or say, they do that show me. What's that got to do with me? I'm still going to go home. I'm still going to call my people. I'm still going to bring them to the table. They're going to still listen to me, not you. Territorial commanders that I talk, I'm not talking about giants in the sky. I'm talking about people that are dating their hands on the field, who are there. I know the territorial commanders in my state, and I don't joke with them. I try as much as possible not to irritate them. Because if you irritate them, you're going to pay for it at the polls. You need to know that. Everybody has his area of influence. It's like a ladder. Some people are territorial commanders of polling units. If you joke with them, you pay. Some are territorial commanders at ward level. Some are territorial commanders at senatorial level. Some are commanders at local government. Some at state. And naturally, some are territorial commanders at national level. Make sure that you do what we call line of best fits. Which of you?
So at the end of the day,
you must have a line of best fits.
So we are agreeing that at the end of the day, the opinion and the voices of the masses.
The people who vote, the people who sell their votes, the people who come out to campaign for them, the people who receive them are the mass of the people.
Okay.
What most people are expecting is that I just told them I'm going around begging people that let's stop this transactional thing. But they are the ones that can stop it. Or maybe the politicians too. But it's too risky. If politician A says, I'm not going to bring any money to the table, then I'll give you one example. In Undo, when we're doing the entire Jegede, you know, I'm an encyclopedia of this because I've been involved. In the entire Jegede's campaign in Undo, the one we did about 4 years ago, our campaign was so sweet. People would literally be trying to lift the car. Then my brother, who was the incident commander, then we were former government people and most former senator, he was the incident commander. And we're brothers, he's my brother, and he's from my state anyway. So when they got to the state, a couple of weeks before the election, I went to him. We had just beaten them in a do, when Obaseki won. We took him from them and we made him win. So I was just jumping and saying, hey, we're going to beat you in Ondo. You know what he told me? He said, Shagun, okay, I concede you have won Edo. So this is Ondo that is left. Wait and see what our day of the vote play will be. You know what I found out?
What? On
the day of the vote of the entire, they got only 3 local government out of about how many now? I can't remember, maybe 16.
With all your nice
16. With all our campaign songs, people were energized and all that. The people started shouting. I'll say it in Ondo, I say it in English. When he did Bokkos Local, won't you just quickly vote and cook soup? We did not vote. Our people that were on our line started jumping to go and collect money to cook soup. That is what we find practically.
And unfortunately, it's how it's being weaponized. We're out of time for the conversation.
I enjoyed myself.
In 1 minute, can you speak to the support that you think that the People's Democratic Party may or may not have given to Senator Natasha Akpoti-Uduaghan?
We gave her support to the extent that we kept saying, no, we don't agree. And almost all of us have been on the fence, even those who are upset by the fact that, there's something called femme fatale. Femme fatale is energizing of feminine energy to emasculate the male. And we always look at, okay, there's a borderline, we try to overdo it, but okay. But we have given her the support. We've not come out to say, oh, we don't agree. The problem is, I don't know by what magic the present assembly, especially the Senate, I don't know by what magic they all became people that are just, the year have it, the year have it. None of them willing to say the year have it. And you know, it's their caucus. They run according to their rules. Even if you say don't do it, if they go there and they put a vote instead of an actual vote, you know what? They did a voice vote because they wanted to mask. They didn't want us to know the people that voted against her. And they said, the year have it. What do you want us to do now? You have to beg, and I think maybe we can do something too. What we can do as a political party is that we need to look at people that we're sending to those places well. Because the legislature is actually the bedrock of stabilization of democracy. If they are all yes men, they are yes men. When the president brings a bill, yes. When he wants to remove somebody, yes. When he wants to declare somebody, yes. What do you want us to do? The law is the law.
Otunba Segun Showunmi, thank you for the
so much. Totally my pleasure. Thank you for having me.
All right, we're on a very quick break. We have more conversations to look at this morning. Stay with us.
Welcome back to Breakfast Central. We go further on the program as we take a look into the escalating crisis within the Labour Party, as the party reaffirmed its support for Julius Abure while slamming Governor Alex Otti over alleged misconduct. The party also called for a planned town hall meeting, which is stirring up its own controversy.
Well, the Labour Party's leadership crisis has taken centre stage with accusations flying and tensions rising. Joining us to shed more insight into this recent development is Oluchi Opara, former National Treasurer, Labour Party. Thank you so much for joining us. You seem to be in high spirits. Can you share with us, first off, while the smile on your face, are you satisfied with the court injunction or the latest story coming out from Labour Party? What's your take? Which part of the divide do you stand?
Good morning, Nigeria. I thought that we would have started off by saying congratulations to me and to Labour Party at large for the April 4th Supreme Court judgment, because the Supreme Court judgments has clearly solved the puzzle that we all have been facing in the Labour Party. And I think Abure is intentionally trying so hard to undermine the court judgment coming from Supreme Court of 4th of April of 2025 that sacked him as the national chairman of the Labour Party. If I would take us back, sometimes last year on the 8th of June, our tenure came to an end, which INEC duly clarified the issue that our tenure has actually come to an end. Then on 27th of March, Abure secretly went to Newi to conduct his convention that INEC never acknowledged. When it was obvious to Abure that INEC was not recognizing his convention of Newi 27th of March of 2024, Abure went to court suing INEC, asking the court to make INEC to accept whatever outcome that came from that Newi convention. If you go to our website now, you will see that after Abure went to court, you will see on the website, you will see Abure's name written by court order. Because if INEC actually recognized that convention, it would not have waited for Abure to go to court. And Abure went to court, Abure won, Abure rejoiced, everybody kept quiet, who respected the outcome of the court. Abure also went ahead to win at the appeal court. Everybody kept quiet. But now that Abure has lost woefully at the Supreme Court, is now trying to undermine the Supreme Court judgment, and it doesn't make sense to me. When he won, nobody challenged it, nobody said anything. We all went about our things trying to get the right judgment. And of course, the right judgment has been served, and Abure is trying to misinterpret it. If you follow the judgment, the appellate court, the Supreme Court granted all the prayers from the appellate. What were the prayers? He was asking whether the High Court, Federal High Court, and the Appeal Court was right to have determined the leadership of the Labour Party by confining the leadership of the Labour Party to Mr. Julius Abure. And the Supreme Court said that the lower courts, that talking about the Appeal Court and the Federal High Court, that they have erred because they should not have even went into the matter for lack of jurisdiction. They said they were wrong. And again, the second prayer was that of a Bisheni of Ondo State that had to do with the Ondo governorship election. And I said because of that those courts should not have conferred the leadership of Labour Party to Abure because it has no jurisdiction again. The third one again, the fourth prayer was after resolving the whole issue, the Supreme Court judges said that Abure has not that the court does not have any right to confer leadership of any political party to anyone, that it has to do with that is an internal affair of any political party. And he went ahead to advise that whosoever tenure has expired, the person should be honorable enough to leave when the vision is loudest. And I am here to say, as National Secretary, Treasurer of the Labour Party former, that our tenure has elapsed. And that is why you've seen me referring to myself as the former National Treasurer of the Labour Party. So I don't know why Abure and co will not do same.
No, madam, yes. Abure is very defiant, is quite defiant since that ruling came out. And has even threatened to sanction Governor Alex Otti and Peter Obi. In your view, do these threats hold any constitutional or political weight within the Labour Party?
According to Latin maxim, you can't put something on nothing and expect it to stand. Abure has no moral or legal backing to do what he's threatening to do. So the leaders of the Labour Party are now those elected members talking about our able governor, working governor, in the person of His Excellency Dr. Alex Chioma Otti, his deputy, all our commissioners, all our senators, our federal house reps members, the stakeholders. They are the ones that will now have the final say that has to do with the party, because as it stands, we don't have any leadership of the Labour Party, if not for the intervention of our able governor and Mr. Peter Obi that came together in September 4th of last year to put up a capital committee that is ably led and chaired by a woman of impeccable character, Senator Usman Nenadi, and others to champion the face of Labour. So Abure is nowhere. They can't even do it. Just have the moral or legal backing to do what he's threatening to do. So everybody should just disregard him. He's just the last kick of a dying horse.
All right. Do you expect that there might be any further legal challenges that might arise as a result of this within the party? And how do you think that this might impact the unity of the party going forward in preparation for 2027?
To the best of my knowledge, Supreme Court is the apex court, is the final court. So having sacked Abure on the 4th of April of this year, which was on Friday, last week Friday, I don't think there is any other thing, because I actually listened to what Abure was saying to his colleagues, to people following him, that the Bishani case that the Supreme Court did not attempt it, which is a lie. Every court that gave Abure the authority to be the national chairman has been treated and set aside by the Supreme Court, which is the apex court, the highest court in the land. So moving forward, the party is moving in the right direction. The party is one happy and indivisible party that is trying to kickstart, to do the needful so that we'll be in the right position to grab power in the coming election of 2027.
Critics say that the Labour Party is fast becoming like the older political parties and becoming the demon it was trying to fight. And with this level of infighting that we're seeing in the Labour Party, would you say that the party is starting to lose its credibility?
I wouldn't want to say that, because before now, the head was bad and is being corrected. So every lover of Labour Party will know that the party is starting into the right direction. I wouldn't want to say that. No. We are going to the right direction.
What is that right direction? What does that right direction look like?
The right direction is the leaders of the party, the elected members of the party, being able to now reshuffle and do the needful to elect people, to now do congresses from the world to the local government to the state down to convention. A technically convened national convention will be called, and people of impeccable character will be able to champion the affairs of Labour Party. So it's no longer going to be business as usual. It's no longer going to be money politics. in Labour Party. So everything will be properly done according to the constitution of the Labour Party. And
no, I'm happy you've said these things, and they sound quite right. But beyond the sound bite, how democratic are the internal processes within the Labour Party, or is it dominated by a few powerful individuals? Is there internal democracy in Labour Party?
Okay, I think we seem to have connectivity issues there. Hopefully, we get to have her join us back. But I mean, I think she's made a clear.
It's very optimistic.
Optimistic.
It's the same
statement.
passion with which she's speaking, talking in favor of the Labour Party.
Yeah.
Julius Abure, no, not Julius Abure. The Senator Nadi Usman caretaker-led committee. That yesterday, Arabambi was speaking with that same fire and passion about the Julius Abure-led government, or the Julius Abure-led party. So it then begs the question: what really is the future of the Labour Party?
Passion.
Really, Ojoro Council. It feels like when the Labour Party came, they came as that breath of fresh air that people did not see coming, and they were the breath of fresh air that were going to be able to withstand the erstwhile political forces in the presence of the APC and the PDP. But now they're fast becoming worse.
Is there something in the air beyond the Labour Party? All those parties just seem to have some sort of internal wranglings at the same time.
I mean, that's what we asked the PDP chieftain, Showunmi, where he said he did mention strategy from his comments. You could tell that he was saying, of course, it's politics. It's part of politics.
Yeah, but you can't normalize this sort of. It's getting all the way to the Supreme Court.
Well, I also think, I mean, if we go back to medieval times, if you go back to, I always like to, look back to where politics was being played, history back in the years. You find out that every politician would always find a way to make ends meet by either stabilizing a very strong opposition or find a way to ensure that you can counter them. History has shown that you had even the so-called popular people we know in terms of who may have become powerful names in the world. They've one way or the other found a way to actually destabilize any form of opposition.
Prevent their ranks from being infiltrated by by external factors that are trying to cause?
By first of all having, again, I will go back to ideology.
Because it's numbers. They want numbers, so you accept everybody.
So I feel like the number of this, again, if you ask the people who are so passionate about their party, it's just like Arsenal fans, even though their club keeps losing, they are still there. You're like, okay, why are you there? What is it that makes you so? So we need people that are loyal and die-hard like Arsenal fans, but that are committed to a cause, not necessarily because they're a member of this party, because they believe that their personal values align with the values of the party. Shout out to all the Arsenal fans, no shade intended. But you understand that
that's a good analogy.
Yeah, like your conviction, your personal conviction aligns strongly with the party. Call the number of the
even when they lose, even when they win the trophies,
even though you've not won a trophy in so many years,
and then you stick there.
It's a fantastic, but the reality is different. We're talking of stomach. I mean, that one it's a hobby. What happens when
our last interview?
You collect money to eat. If you don't collect,
you collect money and cook soup.
Yes.
When you collect money and cook soup,
how do we demonetize? Is it even possible? Maybe when the economy improves and so many people have gone out of the poverty trap, then they begin to see values in.
So there's that. There's people getting out of the poverty trap. We need to, first of all, jumpstart ourselves out of poverty, because poverty is being weaponized by the ruling class, by the political elite. So first of all, we need to deal with our poverty problem. Again, I would say we need to go back to our value system. Because why do you think that a politician who has billions of naira is still keen on stealing, even if the person knows that their journey to the grave is not so far, but they will still be keen on stealing? It's usually the norm. What we've seen, we've seen here. People who know that, that they are, even when they are old, right? They will not stop. A number of these people will not stop. There's just this drive. There's the drive for more power, more money. So until we get to that point where we can deal with our greed, where we can deal with our covetousness, where we can start to teach people contentment, where people can start to feel okay with having just enough to be able to get by and being able to live a decent life, where we don't glorify, and it's even in other things, in our music, in our movies, we're not glorifying a flamboyant lifestyle, worshipping money and influence. Just
anyway, let's go back to the former National Treasurer, Labour Party, Olusegun Para. We do have just a short time. I mean, you are certain that it's about time for Julius Abure to, leave the party, like you said, because your tenure is over. You've served, he served. Therefore, since you are no longer there, he is no longer there. He shouldn't be there anymore. But Olive had asked earlier what you think about the party and going forward. Do you think that if the likes of Governor Alex Otti and Mr. Peter Obi leave the party, do you think the party would have any credence or any ability to withstand pressure and also face the forthcoming elections?
Yes, thank you for this particular question. Labour Party is not a baby party. Labour Party have been in existence for a very long time without people knowing about the party. Labour Party started fully when the likes of Mr. Peter Obi came into the party, the likes of Alex Otti, governor of Abia State, came into the party. Of course, if they leave the party, if our elected members leave the party, what is there left? There's nothing left. So that is why I am thinking that what they have decided to do is to remedy this, to salvage the small soul of the part that is left. So, and we should not even, by any chance or any means, make them leave the party. Because if they leave the party will be dead and buried and forgotten.
And is there any way that, what policies or principles can be employed to ensure we chart a different course or that there's a different path within the Labour Party? Do you think that there's anything now that His Excellency Peter Obi and Governor Alex Otti can do differently to ensure that, things turn out differently for the Labour Party, being that they're leading voices in the party?
Yes, there's this meeting this stakeholders meeting that is holding tomorrow, and I wouldn't want to preempt.
Which one of the stakeholders?
Which one? I know they're planning towards that.
Abure too is planning a meeting. So which particular one are you referring to?
I didn't hear that.
Julius Abure is also planning a stakeholder meeting. So which one of the meetings are you referring to?
I'm talking about the meeting that was called by His Excellency Dr. Alex Otti, who is a statutory delegate to both NEC and convention. So as it stands, he is the authentic person in the right position to call for any meeting. So I don't know any Julius anywhere calling for any meeting. So any meeting, maybe for his birthday party, for his get-together. I don't know what meeting is called.
Talking about Julius Abure, yesterday when he was speaking, he emphasized that the party is united and committed to good governance. From what you know, is that the true picture, or is it just political posturing?
The Labour Party under Julius Abure has not really been a very wonderful party. It's been a money politicking kind of party. But now that the right thing will be done, I can assure the public and lovers of Labour Party that Labour Party will be that party to beat come 2027, because we really need to take over power come 2027, because the country is not favoring anyone. So we really need to put our house in order to be able to grab power to take over the affairs of this nation called Nigeria. What if
Julius Abure refuses to step down? Are there internal mechanisms within the party to ensure that it doesn't lead to a chaotic situation? What would be the next steps?
Julius Abure is not above the law. For the last time I checked, the court that sacked Julius Abure is the apex court, the highest court in the land. So he can't come and impose himself. In fact, he can do his initial grad, right? He can do whatever he wants to do, but he cannot impose himself on the majority of the leaders of the party, on the majority of the followers of the party. The elected members have said, Julius Abure, we are tired of you. Pack and go. His followers, most of our followers have also said, Abure, pack and go. So who does he want to be the chairman for? Who does he want to now lord over? The course has been clear, so even if he wants to make trouble, it's on him, and the authorities, the security should also be put on notice for persons like Julius Abure, who is trying to flout the court order. And I think also that the Nigerian Bar Association should also hold him down, if possible, since his certificate of of being a lawyer because he's trying to undermine the apex court of Nigeria.
All right.
I think my last question to you would definitely be, you've said if the likes of Alex Otti, Governor Alex Otti, and Mr. Peter Obi leave the party, of course the party would be weakened, as it were. But going further and going forward with what's happening with the Labour Party, would you rather choose the Senator Nadi Usman to actually take charge of the party now that she is actually pulling her weight as well?
Every right-thinking person, every lover of Labour Party knows that the party under the watch of Senator Nadi Usman as a chairperson and Senator Darlington Wokocha as the secretary of the party has just kick-started into the right direction, and I am fully in support of what the leaders of the party came together to put on board. That is bringing a woman of impeccable character to chair the affairs of the Labour Party. So why not? I'm fully in support of it.
All right. Thank you for your time with us this morning, Oluchi Opara. We certainly wish the Labour Party all the best. We look forward to seeing what the next steps are for the party.
Thank you so much for having me. By the way, you look beautiful.
Oh, thank you. That's really kind of you, and you do as well. Thank you for the kind word.
Thank you for your compliment.
Have a blessed day.
You as well.
Bye. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, Winga.
Don't
be jealous. It's okay. I'm. No.
I mean, you use the American accent. Y'all look beautiful.
Y'all. Okay, it's okay. I can
okay,
share. I'm not selfish.
You are part of the
beautiful.
Anyway,
beautiful man. All right.
Let's find out what is happening in Nigeria.
Let the beautiful man bring us between Nigeria. Let's see if the stories or the monologues that he has to present today is going to be a beautiful one.
Another day in Nigeria, more headlines soaked in blood from Plateau to Zamfara, Ondo to Ogun, Ekiti to Osun, Edo, Enugu, Delta, Ebonyi, and Benue. Our land is crying. Our villages are smoldering. The earth drinks the blood of the innocent. Entire communities are being wiped out in calculated attacks. Mothers are wailing. Children are orphaned. Breadwinners are buried. And what do we get from our leaders? Condolences, thoughts and prayers, copy and paste condemnations. No empathy, no urgency. And where's the commander-in-chief? Where's the president of the Federal Republic of Nigeria? Not in Jos, not in Gusau, not in the IDP camps. He's in France again. This is Tinubu's 5th visit to France since assuming office in May 2023. Not 5 visits to the killing fields of Nigeria, not 5 visits to comfort grieving families or to bring hope to the displaced citizens. While Nigerians are being killed, the president is far away, far from the anguish, far from the horror, far from the people he swore to protect. How many more must die before the government opens its eyes? How many more families must be torn apart, with the survivors bearing mental and physical scars before those in power stop treating this mass murder as a minor inconvenience? We are not dealing with petty crimes. We're burying entire communities. These aren't isolated incidents. They are orchestrated horrors meant to terrorize their victims and the nation, yet still no action. Those meant to act are comfortably detached. Bandits, terrorists, or known gunmen kill with boldness because they know the state is asleep. Worse, indifferent. They know there will be no consequences, no justice, no accountability. But how did we get there? If the presidency cannot prioritize security, then it is failed in its basic obligation. The Nigerian people are strong, but we're bleeding. We're patient, but we're tired. Resilience is not an excuse for abandonment. We should not have to live like fugitives in our land. This is a national emergency, and it must be treated as one. Terrorists, bandits, and killers roam free. Nigerians deserve to feel safe, not sacrificed. Mr. President, declare a total state of emergency on security in the whole country. Show us leadership, show us urgency, show us heart. Bonjour, Nigerians.
Thanks for staying with us here on News Central's Breakfast Central. Today we take a further look into the pressing issue that has gripped Plateau State and the nation at large. But before that, let's take you straight to where our reporter is on ground and ready to talk to us this very morning. We do have Jamil, who joins us this morning, and he's looking at the education sector, especially in northern Nigeria. Jamil, can you quickly, for the benefit of our viewers, tell us where you are exactly?
Okay, good morning. I'm here in Katsina, to be precise, in one of the private schools in Katsina called the Little Angels. And in Katsina State, most of the schools in Katsina State resumed yesterday due to the break that was given for Ramadan. And like in my previous report, like I told you, there were a lot of concern from stakeholders on how these private schools can bridge the gap with regards to curriculum completion. And as you can see, in one of the classes, and the students are already here seated, and this is SS3 students. And with me is a lady who I'm going to ask her some few questions, because one of the concerns was the Ramadan break. Would the students really utilize the break at home, or is just not necessary given the fact that Katsina is lagging behind when it comes to education performance entirely? So tell me, what's your name? Can you tell me your name? Come closer, come closer. So what's your name? Okay, so can you tell me, what did you do during the break?
We learned things in school based on the upcoming exams.
Okay, you're yet to write your exams.
Yes.
Now that you're back, do you still have the memory, or you need a refresher so that to get you ready for the exams?
Yes, I still have the memory, but we have to check up things because we need more people practices before the examinations.
So how excited are you now that you're back in school? What are you looking up to or forward to?
I'm very excited because we're back and I can meet my classmates that we had exams. We are going to have exams too. And I can learn a lot of things.
Okay, thank you very much for that. So you can hear from her, she said she was able to read some books at home, and but majorly some of the parents we spoke to, like I told you the other time, the little children couldn't, were not able to read. They were just playing watching movies at home, which necessitates the question: is this really Ramadan break a necessity, or is something that we can manage to do?
All right. Jamil, thank you so much. We do recall that there were indeed talks concerning going for the break, and students also taking some days off school, which sparked a lot of conversation across Nigeria, especially looking at the education system in the north. Thank you for your time, and thanks for talking to the students as well. Okay. So it's been a fantastic one. So far, so good. Away from that, well, let's also tell you about Plateau State now. Yes, the tragic killings in Bokkos as the government's response to the rise in insecurity. This is one that everyone is indeed interested in. Well, there has been a lot following the death toll that's continued to increase. Over 50 lives were lost in recent attacks in Bokkos Local Government Area in Plateau State.
These attacks, described as acts of terrorism by some, have left families mourning and communities displaced. The violence has been attributed to several factors, such as herder-farmer clashes. Others have described it as armed militia attacks, while the state governor recently described the situation as beyond the farmers and herders' clashes. This morning, we're joined to discuss the state government's response to the attacks by Gyang Bere. He's the Director of Press and Public Affairs to the Executive Governor of Plateau State, Governor Caleb Mutfwang. Good morning. Thank you very much for joining us this morning. First of all, our condolences to you, to the people of Plateau State, on the unfortunate loss of lives and the killings that have happened. We're not quite sure what the cause of these killings are. If you can please help us with a background as to what might have necessitated this recent attacks.
Thank you very much for having me this morning. I sincerely want to appreciate the love Nigerian people have shown to the people of Plateau State, particularly the victims of this attack in Bokkos Local Government Area of Plateau State. We've seen a lot of empathy from Nigerians. We've received condolences, and we are glad to also inform that the Chief of Army Staff have also visited the community. We've had the NSA visited just, and all they were doing is to ensure that peace and normalcy return to Plateau State. With regards to the root cause of the problems, one cannot actually lay his hands on any particular issue, but what we know is that it is an act of genocide, like my governor said yesterday. What could it be, or how can you describe a scenario where people are mourning and some individuals open fire on them and kill people? How can you describe a scenario where people are sleeping and some individuals invaded their homes, killed them, burned their houses, and destroyed their sources of livelihood? If not genocide, how can you best describe such a scenario? So that is exactly what is happening in Plateau State. For the past period of time that the governor, His Excellency, Barrister Caleb Mutfwang, has been on the saddle of Plateau State, we know very well that he has worked assiduously, putting all he has to ensure that peace and normalcy return to Plateau State. And I can tell you, in the last 1 year, we've experienced peace. 2024 Christmas was one of the best Christmas that Plateau people experienced. We had a free, fair, and violence-free exercise. People have been going about their normal duty, and because of the strategic engagement of the governor, we've received confidence, we built confidence on the people of Plateau State and the Plateau State itself. We've received so many diplomatic individuals who have visited Plateau State. We've received visitors, investors who are willing, because of the climate weather Plateau State is blessed with, they have indicated interest in coming to Plateau State, and peace has returned to the state in the last 1 year that the governor has been on seat. But unfortunately, we had a relapse last week where individuals who were mourning were unleashed with some level of terror. And so, as we are approaching the farming season, in most cases, this is always the narratives. Once we are approaching the rainy season, and we are sometimes the harvest period, we usually encounter these kind of things. And this is purposely to keep the people in poverty and keep them away from their sources of livelihood. So basically, these are some of the issues that are happening in Plateau State. But one thing that I can assure you is that the governor of Plateau State, His Excellency, Barrister Caleb Mutfwang, has shown resilience, has walked the talk, and has done all he can to ensure that peace returns to Plateau State.
Absolutely.
We must also appreciate the president
and that really is our view. I'm sorry I have to interject at this point because we're trying to work with a very short duration, or within a short duration. First of all, again, just to say that we once again empathize with the people of Plateau State, and like you said, your governor is working. I think the question would be, first of all, when you say that your governor speaks about this being a genocide, who is carrying out this genocide? Who are the perpetrators of this attack? And when you say your governor is working, what is your governor doing? And what ways do you expect support to be able to get over this trial and this challenge in Plateau State?
From the confirmation of the military, we know that some individuals were arrested, and I know very soon the world will get to know who are those individuals, because they are not in our custody, they are in the custody of the military, and without taking much time, I believe certainly that their identity will be revealed. And I can assure you that the government has also done a lot in the last few days that this attack has been going on to ensure that people who are displaced are given support. Immediately, the governor mobilized people down to the villages, to the community led by the secretary to the government of the state, Architect Samuel Jato, who actually took relief materials under SEMA, Plateau State Relief Management Agency. They took relief materials to the people to ensure that the people can also have some high level of refuge where they can hide themselves and then allow life keep going. We've also received materials from NEMA. Yesterday, they came down to the state and they visited the communities, also donated materials. Plateau State government has also mobilized medical personnel down to the area to ensure that people who are sick are given adequate medical attention. And these are some of the things that the governor is actually doing to ensure that the situation gets to calm as we speak now. But on the long run, the governor has actually deployed technology to ensure that surveillance is given high level of attention within the communities in Plateau State. And that has actually brought us to where we are in terms of reclaiming the peace that Plateau State is known for until the last incident that happened. The last 1 year, we know the effort that the government has actually put on the ground, ensuring that interfacing with the state security personnel, head of security agencies who are here in the state, working working together with the police, the military, and every security participator to ensure that we all work together and ensure peace in Plateau State. And the governor is doing that as we speak, and he will continue to do that until we have a lasting peace in Plateau State.
All right. Well, we want to say thank you so much. Unfortunately, we are out of time, but we'd like to extend another invitation to you and possibly hear from the government's side on the plans that are being made for those who have been displaced, and is there going to be a mass burial and the likes. But we're out of time. We just want to say thank you so much, and our condolences once again to those who have lost their lives, and of course the people of Plateau State. Thank you so much for your time. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I'm grateful for the time given unto us.
All right, great. We'll go on a quick break, and when we come back, we'll be taking a look at the Akwa Ibom. Of course, we'll be going to Akwa Ibom, and we'll find out where there's something about to happen. Well, stay with us. We'll be right back.
He was the first person to carry, a gold medal for Akwa Ibom in this particular, track and field events. And he knew the responsibility. Nothing is sweet fast, as they say. Somebody that understands the tidings or the tides and how it flows. And he understood that, I have to raise my game. So even with all the dramatics going on, he was locked in. And because of his performances, he was able to galvanize the athletics team of Akwa Ibom. And they showed work here. I think they have about 5-6.
Live, yes. Look, we discuss our paper.
I like your shirt.
More than else.
I see you wear just a color shirt like this that is not suit or native. Which kind?
This is Moses Praise. And why are they? I don't even understand what's going on.
Thank you for joining us this morning on Breakfast Central. We now will be taking you to Akwa Ibom State, particularly the Uyo Township Stadium, where we've come to the climax of the inaugural edition of the Niger Delta Sports Festival. Now, it started on the 1st of April. Today, we're closing, and we want you to be a part of the journey. So let's now head to Uyo, where we'll be bringing you live feed from the celebration.
stop, if you can't cross over, that's when we stop. As long as you can cross over, we keep going, and we keep going. And then when you reach the final bus stop, you do it again and again and again until somebody breaks. And this is living away from people like Aya, who were one of the last set of jumpers that we had in the jumping categories for the events for track and field. And now seeing that Oko is stepping up. Oko trains also in Delta sometimes. I know he has passed through Ogun State and a few other states. So I like the fact that when you spread your training and you try to improve different parts of your training, your take-off, your diet, and patterns like that, it helps and it shows. And in competitions like this, high-level competitions like this where it shows, you want to be grateful for that. Credit also to the Delta team, because at least, even if the high jump, they didn't show working as they would normally do, like I said, with them IL being the last set of guys that have really shown working on that end, I would say that credit to them, because they managed to at least put a strong competition out there. You are only as good as your competition, I like to think. So a double bronze and silver finish for the Team Delta is not bad. Don't beat up yourself. You did well. The other man just did better. We move.
All right. Like I stated, it's not just about the event. So even though the theme of this particular tournament games is beyond oil, harnessing talent, one of the things Niger Delta's Development Commission are doing also is developing facilities. And to think that we actually had a facility of the swimming pool built from scratch, it was so beautiful. It's right here. I saw it, loved it. And I said, like I said, I really wanted to swim just by seeing that. Those are the ways you have to get athletes' mind tuned to being in. So by the time they head out to international competition, it's something they're used to already here. And in the 100-meter butterfly, man, Chukwendu Olise for Delta State came through there for the 100-meter, 57.75 seconds. Emmanuel Ihe Abia, Akintoku Albert from Imo. Interestingly, you have an Akintoku Albert from Imo there. And that facility, no doubt, will actually, so now we're done with the event. The facility is right here. It would also benefit the indigents of Akwa Ibom State.
Oh yeah, I had a conversation with their assistant head of athletics in the state, and he was very pumped. He was very excited. It was like the reception that the swimming had from the indigenous crowd, the home team or the home crowd, made him really feel like, yes, this gamble that we did is going to pay off. Don't forget that at the Godswill at Papi, there's no swimming. It's right here at the township of Uyo Township Stadium. So they are pretty pleased about it, one, and they are planning to get more, competitions going. I had to get conversation with some of the athletes too that are in the swimming, and they will tell you many of them went out of state, even from their riverine states. They went out of state, went to places like Lagos, among others, to get their competitive edge going. That tells you that even in the Niger Delta, they've really not done competitive swimming for a while as it stands. So this is a good one. I mean, the strokes were stroking, whether it was a freestyle, whether it was a breaststroke, and even the relays, it was a sight of also eyes, a movable feast as they call it.
No doubt, a great outing there for Delta State. No surprises anyway. Now, nobody, all those job people full. And
they're everywhere.
Does it come as a surprise there? I'm moving on to the 100-meter butterfly woman. It was still Ania Baba Jennifer for Delta coming through the Obodo gift to Bayelsa Mundishola Kiwa Ondo, and that was how the podium finished.
Congratulations to Ondo. At least they showed that the water people, Ikale people. Many of the times when it comes to the water sports, they take it personally. That's the thing I've noticed, Moses. Every time that someone beats the other person on water in the Niger Delta Sports Festival, you're like, we have water now. We have water now.
Not by having water.
It's not by having water. It's what do you do with the water? And I would say that Bayelsa showed working. Like I said, they took a training camp for months at Surulere. That's where they were training out of before they came back here. So that's why I'm already looking out for them at the sports festival that's coming up in a few weeks' time. But the results are showing who has been working on the ground and who has been thinking that, I'm a king in my local pond. Right now they are learning that, you are not. But credit to all the Ijos, because it's almost all Ijos getting the medals no matter the state.
All right, let's come to the 50-meter freestyle for the men. Again, Delta States are coming through the Wape no Chubuzo with the gold medal. Shadrach Simon Bayelsa and Victor Orona for Edo State. Why? Because she is no doubt a gem for Nigeria. Exciting things. Bayelsa United are dominating that particular region. That's what we want to see. But in any case, for us here, it is our debut at the Niger Delta Festival. For NDDC, it's their debut. For the Niger Delta Sports Festival. For the production team, everybody are making their debut. And as a result of that, we decided to have a few words with some of these outlets. Some of them who are leaving their states for the first time, to hear what their thoughts were being here in Uyo, Akwa Ibom State for the very inaugural Niger Delta Sports Festival. Here's what they had to say.
It has been fun competing against each other, seeing people from other states competing with them. It has been fun, and since I've been here, and one thing I also heard from them was that since we are coming for NDCC and this is like the first game, we are record holders for NDCC, so that's like the fun part of it. And traveling through 6 states, it has been a lot of experience, right from the hostel, coming down to the stadium, the food and everything, and the atmosphere is also fun. So it's been nice since I've been here.
Okay, I would say it has been a good experience. As basically this is my first time in this kind of arena, in this kind of place. So I've actually learned quite a lot of things due to the fact that the experience there, people have met, the different tactics I've been able to learn from the other people. So for me, I would actually say it's actually fun and a good way to actually educate the young athletes or students in sports.
Experience here has been actually very great because firstly, this is the first time I'm actually representing my state, Edo State, in any competition. And I came here representing them in the triple jump event. I wasn't expecting anything so much because actually I haven't trained with the 11-meter board before. But to God be the glory, I came out with my coaches, I came out, I did my run-ups and everything. I came out glorious. I finished with the 3rd position, which was the bronze medal. I give God all the glory. So my experience here has actually been very, very great. I had a nice time traveling all the way here, meeting different people, meeting Patience Okon, who is a home-based athlete of this state.
Personally, it has been thrilling so far because what we are expecting and what is happening is totally different. The hype, the everything, the moment, it has been really, really exciting, and we're like very, very grateful for this kind of event and opportunity to witness something like this.
Niger Delta Sports Festival is actually a great one. It's an opportunity for athletes to come out to show for their talent, and I think many has actually run PBs. I've actually done a personal best in my event. So my message to them is that it's a great one, and I look forward to seeing them in forthcoming times.
Yeah, first of all, I'd like to say a big thank you to the sponsors, the organizers, and everyone. I also want to say that they should reach out to the states that are not really, let's say, privileged in sports, because there are some schools that don't have, let's say, the funds or the finance to actually get this kind of equipment like this tartan. Like I said, it's my first time. So if they can reach out to those schools and to those athletes, so we will have better athletes in years to come.
Okay, I want to say a very big thank you to the sponsors for giving young talents like us the opportunity to participate in such a prestigious event like this. We really, really appreciate it, and we are going to do better and make the country and our sponsors proud.
Yeah, we would love things like this to continue, and this will help us to promote unity among us and other states. So we love things like this to come up usually. We want more of this.
Thank you for inviting us to show our talents.